I will be trying to cover over the next 60 minutes or so is give you first an overview of what you can do using the Azure platform to build a bot as fast as you can, and I will be covering the tools. And before the tools, I will cover the design thinking process to design a bot. What are the tools and the services that we have in our stack? Varies from very simple bots to an enterprise ready that is capable of doing multiple stuff at the same time. As also, just want to give you an idea about what is my role. I'm a cloud solution architect. I'm part of a team in the UK called the App Innovation team. What we do basically is we cover all of the innovative application development solutions with our customers. We cover the strategic Microsoft customers around the globe. So just before talking about the specifics of the bot itself, I just wanted to give you an idea about the conversational AI platform in Azure. And the reason for that is you might have heard, and I can only assume because you can correct me in the chat window, but I suspect that you came to this session because you either heard about some of the services that we have, or you already built a bot in the past or at present. And you might have used some of the services that we have, whether this is the Q&A maker, Lois, other services. So I just wanted to set the scene before we dive into building bot. So the conversational AI platform composes of multiple components depending which layer that we are targeting. It's starting from top to bottom. So basically, the first layer that you might have heard of is how to build a bot or a conversational AI solution using a SaaS service. And we have a tool and a service called the Power Virtual Agent, which is part of the Power platform, which is a complete platform for Power users that doesn't necessarily have to write code. So it's a low code, no code platform, which would enable Power users to build bots. Power Virtual Agent is the platform to build those bots. So it's like what you see is what you get kind of interface where you can drag and drop components and hit publish, and here you go, you have the bot ready. And beneath that, we have multiple services that actually enable these kind of SaaS services. So if we go again from bottom up, so all of these services in a SaaS solution sits on top of a very sophisticated set of services that we have. Starting from the bottom, we have a tool called the Bot Framework, which is an SDK, a complete SDK that would enable developers to write, conversational AI solution, whether this is virtual agent, virtual assistant, or a simple bot using C#, JavaScript, and Ruby. So you pick your language and you have all of the capabilities at your fingertips. And that would enable you to have a much more granular access to the feature and services. And if there are other missing features, you can enable that and you can code it for yourself. So on top of that, we have the Azure bot service. So you've written your code, you've written your bot, you need to host that somewhere. And in order for you to host that, you need like a cloud service to host that. And this is the service, which is the Azure bot service. So once you write the code, you just click deploy, and that will host the server. It will host your bot in the Azure bot service. But what's more interesting on top of that is the Azure bot service would enable you to have multiple channels to integrate with your bot. So in the authoring mechanism, basically you will interact by text. So, and this is one of the tools that I will show you, which is the bot emulator. So basically you will talk to the bot through a text-based interface. But what the bot service would enable you is to integrate other channels like the Facebook Messenger, the Skype for Business, Twilio, Teams, Cortana, and we have over 27 or 20 something different channel that will enable the bot service to communicate through. And you don't have to write any code, special code to be able to integrate with that, as long as you are using the out-of-the-box authentication authorization mechanism for the service. So if you are using the Messenger, the Facebook Messenger, or Facebook app, So basically, it's an open API spec. Authentication would be integrated there, so you don't have to write any custom code. So on top of that, bot on its own, like any other solution, you have to have a set of utility services that will make your bot richer. And that would include things like this supportability for multiple languages. So by default, and most likely, you will write your bot to talk in English first, and then you will extend that to multiple different languages, right? So we don't want you to write different intents or different efforts that you need to invest to be able to have the multi-language support. Instead of that, you can use some of the platform as a service offering in the Azure platform, which is a service called the Azure Cognitive Services. One of those cognitive services is the language services, and the language service will do the translation on the fly. So basically, whatever the user is saying in 60 plus different languages, it will get translated and passed over to the bot, and the bot will respond in English, and that response will get translated on the fly. So you don't have to write any custom code or anything. You just want to enable translation in your bot, and you will have that. Likewise, when we are talking about different channels, one of the most used channels to integrate with bots is the telephony or the voice-based interfaces. So imagine that you have different people that want to interact with bot with different ways. One of those ways is basically they need to talk to the bot. You don't want to write or text the bot. One of those scenarios is if you are driving a car, obviously you can't just write while you're driving. So obviously the natural interface to that would be the speech. And the speech is using a service called the Direct Line API, the Direct Line interface, to do the text-to-speech, which is once the bot has some sort of output to tell to the user, the speech service will take that text and translate that to a speech. And likewise, if you set something to the bot, the speech service will take that speech and translate that to text and pass it over to the bot service. And etc. etc. We have a lot of services in the cognitive service in this layer, in the pre-trained API cognitive services that would enrich your bot service. We didn't stop until we didn't stop at that layer. We actually created a multiple vertical implementation of different scenarios. Once we have that, and we call that as the solution accelerator, the Azure Bot Framework's solution accelerators are scenario-specific templates, deployments, and even a CI/CD pipelines to accelerate your journey to implement a specific scenario. One of those scenarios is the Enterprise Assistant Solution Accelerator, and this is one that imagine that you are building a bot for your internal employees and internal audience that would enable them to search existing knowledge base, create tickets, and that means the bot has to integrate with an ITSM platform like ServiceNow, for example. So we've created those things for you, so you don't have to spend too much time coding that into the solution accelerator. So all you need to do is just visit the website, download the template, change few configuration, and even the deployment, it's already codified. So you just deploy it and you will have an enterprise ready solution. Likewise, we have another solution accelerator for hospitality. We have another solution accelerator for connected cars, etc., etc. And I will show you that in just a minute. So this is kind of the platform end to end from the ground up, from the basic services, the backbone or the bare bone services like the bot framework, up until SaaS services like the Power Virtual Agent, or a service which is not a SaaS service, but it's a what you see is what you get, called the Bot Framework Composer. And I will try to cover as much as possible during this session. So because the topic for today is to how to build a bot in an hour, I thought I need to spend a little bit of time talking about the solutions accelerator that we have, in the bot framework SDK, and I need to guide you through that, and I'll show the not only the deployment and the component of the bot, but actually the design thinking process around how to build a bot. So basically, any bot in the world, and this is based on my experience with customers. The majority of our customers, or the customer that I worked with, they've started small with a simple Q&A question and answer pairs, where you go to the bots and ask them few questions that has an already predefined answers. So think of that like the FAQ page to a website, or the existing knowledge base about something, or the manuals for specific electronic devices. So if you bought something like a TV, that TV has a manual, and that manual has an FAQ about how to turn it on, off, how to configure it, how to connect it, etc., etc. So instead of all of these questions being handled by the CSR or the customer service representative, it would be a great idea to automate that through something like a bot. And this is the smallest bit. But in reality, this is not the only thing that the bot can do, or this is not the ultimate value for the customers at the end of the day, and also for the company that builds the bot. You need to make sure that the bot understands people. And in order for you to make sure that the bot understands the people, you need to understand the language itself. What they mean by that input. So when they are saying, turn the light on, you need to pick few things in this statement to understand what exactly do they mean and what exactly do they want as an action. Sometimes they're just chatting with the bot, yeah. But sometimes they need to take some action, and that's why you would need to use one of the services called the language understanding, in order for you to make it more intelligent to understand what the people are saying. And these are just the main building blocks. So you start small by Q&A, simple FAQ page, you pass it on, and then you will have a bot. But in order for you to really understand what people are saying, what people want, what are the things that you can cover and what are the things that you can't cover, you just need to use language understanding. And we have a tool called the Language Understanding Intelligence Services, aka Lewis, that would enable you, and I'll show that in a moment. And this is like the bot framework main components. We have other services, the speech, I already covered that, because you need to integrate with the bot service. You need to have a voice-based bot, and the speech is the bit that would make this integration between your bot and the external voice input. But once your bot grows, so when you are building a real life enterprise-ready bot, we are talking about different domains, different knowledge domains. And what I mean by that, think of a scenario where you are building an internal bot for your employees, a company. During COVID, during all of the difficulties that we've experienced and we're still experiencing right now, working from home, etc. Once you build a bot that will serve your internal employees to cover the FAQ, maybe you need to extend that to integrate with an ITSM service to enable the employee to create tickets for fixing problems with their internet, with their VPN, etc., etc. So the integration bit, we are talking about a domain about the ITSM, or a domain about the enterprise connectivity to your ITSM. But also, side by side with that, you might need to provide simple skills like enable your employees to book a specific slot with those people, with the the internal IT team, to have a remote session, right? So you need to integrate that with the calendar in the Office 365. So this one domain, the ITSM integration is one domain, but actually the integration with the calendar and the actions or the utterances that the people will saying to create this calendar invite is completely different. So once we have those different domains, we need to segregate them into different skills. So as you can see on the right-hand side, we have different skills. And by the way, these are pre-built skills that Microsoft have built for you. So you just need to go to GitHub and download them. And those skills will get you covered for certain scenarios. One of these scenarios is basically how to read somebody's calendar, read your calendar, create a new event, share that event with somebody, or invite people to a meeting. All of these kind of tasks are covered by this skill. And the skill here is, you can think of it as a small bot. So this is the parent bot. This is the assistant. That's why we are not calling this guy as a bot. Instead, we are calling this a skill. The skill is like a small bot that covers a specific area of expertise. And that area could be, like you can see here, a mail functionality, arrange task or allocate task, could be the calendar, could be the ITSM integration, create a ticket in ServiceNow, get the tickets for somebody, or archive the old ticket or the tickets that has been active for the last 90 days. You might need to archive that. So all of these can be segregated into different skills. The reason we are segregating those skills because we need to dispatch. And the idea of the dispatcher, and again, this is a concept. We have a tool called the dispatcher tool, but the concept of dispatching is basically after you understand what the user is saying and you have a confidence in what the intent is, you need to route that request to the specific skill. So if the user is saying, book me a meeting with one of the IT team, right? So obviously once they say book a meeting, that means there is a 99% confidence level that this will require a calendar. But at the same time, they said with the IT team. So that means that you need to get the one of the IT team's calendar. You need to search for any of them that has availability over the next day or the next hour. And once you do that, you just need to go ahead and create a calendar invite. And the dispatcher is like the cornerstone that will route that request based on the confidence level. The same thing, this is the customer, this is the skill, these are the skills that will cover a specific thing. But at the same time, if we are talking about different data sources that has different knowledge bases. So in Q&A Maker, for example, which is a tool that we have that would enable you to create a Q&A based bot that would answer very like a key value pair between questions and answers. Those knowledge bases could be in static documents, could be a knowledge shared, could be PDF, could be Word, could be like an HTML files. All of these different knowledge bases or knowledge sources will get dispatched as well. So for example, if the user is saying, how can I reset my VPN connection? So most likely that this has been answered in some of the existing FAQ pages. So the dispatcher tool will, if there is an answer for this specific question with a very high level, with a very high confidence score, it will get routed to the right knowledge source. And this is the right thing here. This is all of the connection between your bot and the external knowledge sources, skills, and even third-party assistant. So you can connect your bot to Cortana, you can connect it to Alexa, you can connect it to whatever third-party assistant that you need to connect them with. But once you do that, this is just a development testing time. But you need to deploy that to make it available to the external world. And this is where the Azure Bot Service is come to action. You need to integrate with Teams, Slack, Twilio, Cortana, Skype, whatever the channel that you want to, even telephony. And one of the things that we built with one of the customers, with a lot of the customer, honestly, is they need to integrate the bot with telephony. So basically you call their short number, and most of the the task that the CSR team were doing before the bot is being handled over the phone using the bot itself. And this is what we did by connecting the channel, the telephony channel, with the bot service. So I know I covered a lot in here, and let's dive into the details of that and show you where are these virtual assistant templates are. I hope you can see my screen here. So if you go to the microsoft.github.io or Bing for the bot framework solutions or the solution accelerator, you will get routed to this page. And in this page, as you can see here, we have three different types of solution accelerators. We have a virtual assistant solution accelerator. We have a pre-built set of skills, reusable skills. And one of those skills, like I said, the calendar skill, the email, the to-do, the point of interest, the weather, all of these are pre-built, pre-packed skills that does specific set of actions that will enrich your bot. But ultimately, we have the virtual assistant template. So if you click on that virtual assistant template, and like I said, it is composed of multiple things. It is composed of the C# code, the code base for the actual template for the virtual assistant. It has the language understanding models, the knowledge bases. It has the templates required to deploy the hosting service that will enable you to make this bot available to the external web. So if I scroll down here and go to virtual assistant create, and I forgot to say that you can create that in C# or TypeScript. I'm going to cover the C#. I'll go to intros. I've already done that, but I thought I need to go through with you on that. So basically, there are a few prerequisites. If you click on download and install. So the first thing that you need to make sure it already exists, you need to download the template itself. So if I click here, open that in a new tab, it will route me to the virtual assistant and skill template. So basically, this is an add-on to Visual Studio. So what this add-on will do is basically, if you go to Visual Studio, right click, let me open a new Visual Studio instance. Once you open a Visual Studio instance, you will be able to create a new, instead of creating a bot, instead of that, you will be able to create a virtual assistant, which is more than a bot. So if I click on create a project or a solution, sorry, not this one, create a new project. And as you can see here, go to, you see here, these are the new solution, the new project templates. So we have a virtual assistant template and we have a skill template, right? I've already done that. I've already created my template because the creation will take a little bit of time. So this is the first thing that you need to make sure is already exists. Along with that, you need to go to the GitHub repository, which is if I open that one, just clone it, clone the entire bot framework solution, open it in Visual Studio. So just easy once you have that. And along with these two things, you need to make sure that you have the .NET Core, you have NPM, you have PowerShell Core. One thing I have to say, PowerShell Core is different than the normal PowerShell that we all use. If I just stop sharing, yeah, go here, yes. So basically, this is the PowerShell. If I click on that one, this is the PowerShell 6. This is not the PowerShell. So if I go here and search for PowerShell, you can see here, this is the PowerShell that we all know, and this is the PowerShell Core. These are two different ones. So the PowerShell Core is more aligned with the .NET Core capabilities and functionality. So once you have all of that, you go to npm install the bot dispatcher. Remember the dispatching process where your input to the bot will get routed based on the confidence score, and this is the bot dispatcher tool. So you just need to download that. And also you need to have the bot skill CLI tools, and that's it. Just go and create your assistant. So if I go here and show you what I have, so I'll start by the hospitality assistant. I already cloned the repository. I just want to show you what we have here, right? So this is a bot. This is a virtual assistant project template, but it is tweaked to enable certain channels and certain skills. One of those skills is the hospitality skill. Hospitality skill, you can think of it can be used in a hotel kind of scenario. You can book a room, you can extend your stay, you can get your bill, you can play with the temperature, in-room temperature, like increase temperature, decrease temperature, etc., etc. All of these kind of tasks and skills already implemented for you. So I'll go through some of these things, but the first thing I want to show you is the controller. So is the controller in the bot. So as you can see here, we have the bot controller. So every virtual assistant will have this bot controller. So for those of you who have used the ASP.NET MVC before, this will be quite familiar with you. You have the model and the view, the controls, and the model is basically where your data is. This can be used to track the state, to get data from databases, store the state in a database, etc., etc. But likewise, you will have the skill controller, and the skill controller is where you go and call specific skill. So your virtual assistant can do things like the hospitality basic stuff, but also can dispatch to a weather skill. That weather could be, give me the weather for, London today. That means that this has nothing to do with the hospitality. This is a general skill, which is the weather skill, and the skill controller is where you can execute few things before you go and dispatch this skill. So I'm not going to cover too much about that. But basically, once you have this, likewise, you need to download this skill. And again, this is it's already documented in here. I just want to show you, where is it? It's in here. All of what I just said, you have the details of it. You have the details of what are those files are. And then the next step is how to provision your Azure resources. So the provisioning, it has two ways of provisioning those services. In order for you to host the bot, you will need to have a set of services beforehand. And those services, surely you need to have an Azure web app that can host your bot. You will need an Azure storage account. You need an Azure App Insights to be used for the telemetry, but also, and these are the most important parts of the bot, the language understanding service, which is part of the cognitive services, and also the Q&A maker, right? And the Q&A, in order for you to get the Q&A maker, there is a dependency with Azure Search and Azure Web App. So I've already created that, and this is where I need to show you what I did. So basically what I did, I just go to the provision, I just go here and follow the steps here. It's basically go and say, after you download the code base for your assistant, for the virtual assistant, go to the project directory, run the PowerShell core from that directory, and go AZ login. Basically log into your Azure environment, and that's it. Once you do that, this is the last step, just run this script. And this is the script. So this is, if I go here, show you what this deploy PS is doing. Basically what this does, it provisions a set of services, as you can see here. So the first service, the first set of service resource group in a specific location, it will create a Lewis authoring service. It will create an app registration. It will create a Lewis-based Lewis authoring and Lewis the runtime. And as you can see, these are just the steps to create all of these services. Oh, and then the last step is create a Cosmos DB to save the state. And pretty much it's a straightforward PowerShell. So if you are seasoned with PowerShell, you will see this straightforward. You don't have to do anything. You just provide the parameter, and you will have this. So if I go to the Azure portal, if I just go here, just can't see it. Yes. Just expand this. So if I go to this resource group, so after I did that, I had, as I said, few cognitive services. One of them is Lewis, and one of them is the Q&A maker. So if I go to the language understanding, let me rephrase that. Yes, the first thing I need to show you is the Q&A maker. So the Q&A maker is basically, let me go through the create the knowledge base. So the first thing in order for you to create a simple bot that will answer a few question and answer pair, is to have a knowledge base, is to create a knowledge base. You just create a knowledge base. It will ask you which service that you need to create this service for, the name of it, and give me either the URL or the file name, right? This URL could be can be the FAQ, the direct FAQ page for a website, or you can host that via a Word document or a PDF document and host it in there. On top of that, there is a recent addition to this service, which the multi-turn extractions. So some of the questions and answers can be populated in a hierarchical manner. So what I mean by that, so let's say that there is a question related to how can I create a VPN connection. So in order for you to create a VPN connection, there is like a 5 or 6 steps, but those steps has to be done in sequence, and you can't step over the other. And because of the nature of those hierarchical relationship between the parent question and the children questions, the multi-turn extraction will understand that there is a relationship between the parent and the children, and users can't get an answer for the children. Instead, they need to ask the question for the parent in order for them to get the answers. This is the new service that we have here. So this is a pretty straightforward one. And once you do that, you will have, if I go to my knowledge bases, just refresh the page. This is the tenant. Yeah. Let me sign in with the Lewis. Tell those funds. Yes. Yeah, one thing I have to say here is if you left the Lewis or Q&A maker idle for quite a bit, you'll get your connection will time out. The session will time out, so you have to sign in again. Just want to show you the knowledge base for what I created. So I said I already created the bot, the virtual assistant, and as part of that, we have a set of knowledge bases. So if I go to the right connection, and by the way, I created a COVID-19 knowledge base for the set of symptoms for another demo, but this is a template for another story. So what I want to show you is to go to the secondary subscription, if I can read it. Yes, this is the secondary, and I have the hospitality bot FAQ. I have the hospitality bot chit chat. I have the hospitality bot FAQ. If I click here, and as you can see here, you have, do you have your business center? Our business center is open 24 hours, etc., etc. So as you can see here, this is the list. It's like the potential questions that the user will ask the bot, and if one of those questions get picked up, it will automatically get routed to this answer. So if you said, do you have a wheelchair available? So let's have save and train, and then test, and pick one of those questions and test this knowledge. So if I click test, let's say that let's write business center, right? As you can see here, I just said business center, and immediately it said our business center open 24 hours. So it has a very high confidence in the fact that if someone is saying business center, based on the model itself, the data that we have in this knowledge base, it most likely it is related to this answer. So if I click on inspect, and as you can see here, it's 99% confidence score that this question or this input from the user, there is a confidence, a 99% confidence that this is the right answer for it. So this is just, again, there is no intelligence in here. It's like a question answer match, blind question answer match. But as I said, this is not the right way to go. Instead, we need to have a language understanding capability to understand what the user are talking about, because not everybody will ask the same question in the same vocabulary or in the same way or in the same sequence. And because of that, we in the virtual assistant, we have two models in here. So if you look at this within my app, I filter by this subscription in this authoring resource. So within the hospitality bot, I have the general and I have the dispatch. So you can think of the dispatch, as I already covered before, is the layer that will route your question or the user input to either Lewis, to Q&A maker, to any third party or external virtual assistant, if that required. This is the parent. So the first point of entry to Lewis will be the dispatcher, and the dispatcher will go in and go either to this general or go to the other Q&A. So what the dispatch is basically, we look at all of the language understanding model that we have in the general, plus the Q&A maker question and answer, and create a new Lewis model that all of the input of the user would get dispatched in here first. So let's have a look at what the Lewis is doing, what Lewis is doing actually to understand what the user are talking about. So in Lewis, there is the idea of intent, entities, there's the intent and there's the entities, and in each intent there are the utterances. So in the intent, it basically, as the name indicates, is what the user wants to do. It's the action that the user want to take. So one of those actions could be confirm, right? So in order for you to pick what the user are saying to confirm certain action, you have to provide a set of utterances. And the utterances, it's like the set of sample data that the user will say to express the confirm action, right? So if the user is saying yes, that's fine. Yes, this is good. Yeah, yo, all different utterances for the same action. And as you can see here, you have to provide as much realistic and representative data to in the utterances. But sometimes you need to extract some data in those utterances, right? So for example, this one. So if you can see here saying this is good, and as you can see, there is an annotation happening here. And the annotation means that you can extract data from those utterances. So another example, let's say someone in the hospitality scenario want to extend their stay from the Saturday, the 15th of September to Sunday, the 17th of October, something like that. So the first thing that you need to extract is the action, extend reservation, right? This is the action. But at the same time, before you extend the reservation, you have to have the start date and the end date, right? So this is the data that you need to extract. And this is where the entities come into play. So you create an entity called the start date or reservation start date and reservation end date in here. And you go to the intent, the utterances themselves, and do the annotation. And this is pretty easy to do. So if I create, if I go to here, create a new intent called create extend reservation, right? Create here, and I would say extend my stay by 10 days, right? User can say that, right? They didn't say a start and end date, and I have to figure out. But they can say extend my stay from 15th of September to the 17th of October, right? I just want to write it right. September, right? Let me annotate that one, right? It's immediately say that this is the ordinal 15th of September, and this is the 17th of October. But I don't have an entity called the date. So what I need to do is just go here, either use one of the pre-built entities, which we have here, a date time, and we have a date. So let's search for one of the date. We have a date time, done. We have a date time. Let me create a new entity called the start date, reservation start date, and I need to create a new entity. Let me create a new entity, right? End date. Let me delete that last thing. Great. So after I create that, I need to go to the utterance itself and do the annotation for this date. and the annotation will be much simpler. So the Lewis, the idea of Lewis, basically it's a machine teaching platform. You are teaching the platform to understand what the user are intending to do. So if I go to extend reservation, I go here, and as you can see here is saying that this is a date time. So yeah, this is 1st of September. This is a reservation start date, and the 7th of October, the 17th of October is the reservation end date. And here you go. If they say, if I just need to train and then publish, and if any time a user said extend my stay from the 1st of September or any other date or with any other sequence, it will get picked up that this is an extension and you'll get the data passed over. So this is the second component of the bot itself. So once we have everything, once we have the training, once we have the Q&A maker, let's test the bot itself.